What's up? My name's Megiddo, and in this video I'm going to show you everything that you're going to need to know about the Pioneer DDJ-1000 effects channel. Here we go. Okay, so welcome back. What I wanted to do was zoom in as far as I could to capture this screen from the Beat Effects channel all the way down to the release button. And as you can see, this is a blue button and it is plastic, and when it is enabled it will flash on and off, and when it's disabled it will just be blue. Okay, so starting from the top down, what you have is you have a screen that gives you an indication of what is going on in the effects channel, and then you have an auto tap function, and what this does is you can actually scroll through the different time signatures from 1 bar to 3/4, a half, a quarter, all the way up and all the way down, and it'll actually show you on this screen, which is very useful when you're in the dark. And then going down, I'm going to go over each thing individually, and then I'm going to give you a brief summary, and then I'm going to go through each effect and kind of show you what that looks like. Okay, so right here you're going to have the effects that you can select, and we're going to go from left to right. First off, you have the low cut echo, and you can see right here as well as I turn this knob if it's just too small for you to read. Then you have echo, MT delay, spiral, reverb, trans, Enigma Jet, Flanger, Phaser, pitch, slip roll, roll, Mobius saw, which is a new effect on any Pioneer effects channel, and then also Mobius Tri. Specifically, this is the first unit that Pioneer's put out with these two new effects on their effects channels. The DJM 900 Nexus 2 mixer doesn't even have these last two, by the way. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Okay, so next you're going to see what channels can be affected by the effects. So you can have master, and it's going to show you right here also on the screen. This indicates everything that's going on within the effects channel. So starting from left to right, you have, it can affect the sampler, the mic, channel 3, channel 1, channel 2, channel 4, and the master, which can affect all channels. Personally, I like it on the master because I can quickly go in and out and then use the dry and wet function, which leads me to my next point, that this is the level depth knob, basically a dry and wet. So to the left is all the way dry, and to the right is all the way wet. And there's a little click right in the middle for 0. And as we go down here, you have the effects release button. When it's solid blue, the effects channel is off completely, and when the button blinks, that means the effects are active. So now that I've given you a summary of top to bottom what the controls are, I want to kind of briefly go over this screen. I know I did a little bit. On the left, you're going to see auto or tempo. When it's on auto and you have this deck playing, it will match the tempo of the deck. So watch what happens when I play this track. And then shift the tempo fader. See, I'm dropping the tempo and it's changing to 120, 128, 136. And then you can also tap the tempo. So let's say you wanted your effects at a different tempo than your track is going. What you're going to do is press shift and then tap, and then you can just tap it in. Tap it really fast. You can get it 400 beats per minute. Or really slow, you can get it really slow. But if you wanted it back to lock into what your track is doing, just shift and then select, and that's going to go right back to whatever the tempo is on your. So next you're going to see the effect right in the middle, and then right below here you're going to see a number. And what this is a number or a percentage. It's basically going to tell you what type, if it's a delay, like a lot of these delay effects are like a quarter note, one beat, 3/4, And then like things like reverb are, you can set from 50%, 25%. I like it at 25% for a reverb. I'm going to go through each effect and let you hear what it sounds like. And then for these ramp up effects, you can go out all the way to where it ramps down, where it goes up. This is a triangle wave and this is a saw wave. So you've got a triangle wave and you got a saw wave, and this is actually a waveform. So when you turn it on, so as you can see, it kind of goes through from a 16 bar loop all the way down to 8 to 4 bars to 2 bars to 1 bar, half, quarter, eighth, 16th note, and then it can go negative. Like you heard, it has that down ramping effect. But I'm going to go over that a little bit more. So what I've got here is I've got a typical house type track, and I'm going to go through each effect and let you hear them in generalities first, and then we can kind of dive deeper into each effect. All right, so here are the effects. I'm going to turn the unit on. I'm going to let you hear the track without any effects looping. So that's the track without any effects. Now I'm going to go through each effect and let you hear just a brief summary before we dive deep into it, okay? So low cut echo. All the way wet. 50%. Okay, so now we're going to echo. All right, so now we got empty delay. Now we got spiral. And reverb. Trans. And Enigma Jet. Flanger. Phaser. Pitch. slip roll, roll, Mobius saw,
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the gonna take you.
Mobius try,
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the gonna take you.
Okay, so that is all the effects. I wanted to kind of briefly go over a general summary before we dive right into each one individually. So the first one I wanted to talk about is low cut. I would say the low cut, out of all the delays right here, the empty delay, the echo, and the low cut echo, the low cut is the best because some of the delays will add to the volume, but like for instance the echo and the MT delay will add a level of volume to the track so that when you pull back down it doesn't feel as loud. So what I like about the low cut is that you can still affect the sound and get that echo sound, but it's not really adding a whole lot to the volume for the most part. So check it out.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher.
It does add somewhat to the volume, but watch how it affects when I do a regular echo.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher.
You see how much louder that is? And that is something you need to watch out for in terms of sonically what sounds good when you're in the club, when you're playing. And then same thing with the MT delay, so check out what that sounds like.
Fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher.
See how when I click the effect off, it kind of ducked in volume, and you lose some of the energy right there. So you got to be careful not to lose that energy at the wrong time. That's why if I was to do that effect, I probably would do it, the echo and the MT delay, probably at the beginning of a breakdown. Probably not at the beginning of, you could do it at the beginning of, I guess at a build, but you're going to lose that volume and the drop is going to feel somewhat less. So that's just one thing to be aware of. So let's just kind of go through the different, I'm just going to kind of...
We got the fire to take you so.
I'm going to just set a little loop right here. And I'm just going to kind of go through the different measures so that you can kind of hear what it sounds like.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so.
So yeah, so that is the low cut echo, and pretty much for all the delays go from a 16th all the way to an 8th. Excuse me, a 16th, a 1/16 all the way to 8 bars for a delay setting. Now I want to show you MT delay and kind of what that sounds like in more depth. And let me set that loop again so you can kind of hear it.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so.
That sounds pretty cool when you do something like that. All right, so now let's move on to spiral, and that's another kind of delay type setting. I really like this one a lot. I think you could also like transition with this effect, meaning like you could throw the channel down and go into the next channel into a breakdown or whatnot. One word of advice, usually 50% for these delays is really strong. Like I was saying, echo, MT delay, and spiral. Be very careful above 50. I would stay between 0 and 50, and so because it will help prevent what I was talking about, where the increased volume will make the track feel lesser than when it goes into the next section. So just keep that in mind. It still sounds good for some instances when you're transitioning and different things like that, or if you have a kind of a shorter time signature set. But for the most part, my pro tip is 50 and below for a delay type setting. Then we go to reverb.
We got the fire. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you so higher.
I like to set my reverb at 25% because when you go all the way wet, you can still get a good sound out of it.
We got the fire. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you.
You can kind of do one of those things where if you wanted to bring it in like that, where it's all the way wet, and then kind of bring it in to where it's dry, and then bam, right into the drop. That's something really cool that you can do. I really like that. So I like to keep my reverb at 25%. That's just my pro tip. All right, trans.
So higher. We got the fire to take you so. We got the fire to take you.
So trans is one of those effects where it kind of gives you that choppiness feeling. It's kind of a tremolo type effect. So what we can do is you can change that. And my pro tip for this one as well is keep it below 50 for the most part, unless we really want that pulsing, because you can get it like if you went to the extreme. And I was just playing with the filter right there, but you could go all the way down to the 16th, to the 1/16th, and then all the way up to 16. So you can't even hear it all that far off. Okay. Set that back to what I like it as. All right, so next, Enigma Jet is another one of my favorites. Check it out. It also has negative values. It can go all the way to 1/16 and always to -32, -64 actually, plus 64, and then all the way back down to plus 1/16. I like this effect a lot. I use this a lot in my sets. That's kind of cool. Pro tip, I usually keep mine at +4. I think that one sounds the most musical. Then next we go to Flanger. I love Flanger as well. It's very similar to Enigma Jet.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher.
And what's great about this effect is it does something like this, where it's going. So, and then you can change how quickly that cycle goes through. It's like instead of sorry, instead of it going like this, it goes real slow like that. So So that's a really cool one. I love Flanger. Phaser is another one of my favorites, and I actually have this one as a pad effects. I actually love using the phaser. I have 4/1 actually on my pad effects here, and then I have Flanger here 4/1, so which would be 4/1, and then right here I have it 8/1. So check it out.
Gonna take you. We can go. Gonna take you. We got the fire. It's all higher. Gonna take you. We got the fire. It's all higher. We got the fire. It's all higher. We got the fire. It's all higher.
It's another one of those effects that sounds like it's doing this. Okay, next is pitch. I would say pitch is my least favorite effect, but how I use it is kind of almost like a deck stop function, to where you've got it running. It almost sounds like it's stopped, and then here comes the deck back to play. You can go all the way. I haven't found that one to be very functional, and then especially if you've got your effects up like this and you're switching through and it goes to that, it will change the pitch. So either I have it set at -50 or I have it completely off, because I don't want it to, because a lot of times I'll go from all the way over here to all the way over here really quickly, and then I don't want it to stop by the pitch and mess up my pitch. Alright, then you've got slip roll and roll. One thing to know is that you have to catch the beat that you want to catch while the track is playing. So for instance, if I played this, so slip roll, and then I'm going to go through the different functions of slip roll. And then you've got roll.
fire to take you so higher. Fire to take you higher. Fire to take you higher. Fire to take you higher. We got the fire to take you. Gonna take you.
Roll and slip roll sound the best when it's, for the most part, mostly wet all the way to 100 for the most part, unless you're... You can do something very musical like that, kind of like at the end of a measure. That sounds really cool. So yeah, that's slip roll and roll. All right, so next I want to move on to the two new effects, the Mobius saw and the Mobius Triangle. And these are actually noise generated. So one thing to note, that this effects channel, if you plugged in two CDJs or anything like that, you could not even have your DDJ 1000 plugged up to a computer, and you would still be able to use the CDJs and still be able to use this effects channel. So that's one thing to note. And also you would be able to still use the filter, the sound color effects, the filter, the noise, the dub echo, the pitch. You would still be able to use all of the mixer section. It's completely standalone. It does not have to be plugged into a computer. So that's important for you to know, and that's very awesome because that adds value to what you're buying here. These last two over here, the Mobius effects, are great for build-ups, and then also breakdowns. You could use the negative values to kind of have a negative value, but I typically don't ever use that. I typically use it for build up. I like to start it. Let's find a here's where my track actually starts to build. So I'm just going to turn it on, and I'm going to have it set to 0. See, even when the track's not on, that's the triangle wave. So see, it's noise generated. The track doesn't even have to be affected for the sound to come on. So I have found this to be extremely musical. I think that it's just however they developed it to sit in the mix on top of everything, that when you click off of this button, it sounds so natural. So check it out.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the.
So, like I was saying, you know, 50% is good. I went a little extreme on that, so it sounded a little bit out of the mix, but it really fits in the mix 50 and below. That's one thing to know. And as you go down in values, it does crazier.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher.
Now I'm showing you an extreme version so that you can hear the effect on top of the sound. I typically wouldn't do something like that, so extreme, but I wanted to show you, you want to keep it in the mix. So here's what it sounds like. Here's the Mobius saw in the mix. You know, 16's good.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the.
So I like that one. Okay, and so here's the Mobius Triangle. I like this one a lot. I like the triangle. It's a little less harsh. Hence, it's a triangle wave, so it's going to sound a little less harsh than a saw wave. All right. Here we go. So let's check this one out.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the.
I do also like it set to 4 or maybe 8 even. Check out how that sounds.
We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the fire to take you so higher. We got the.
It will continue to rise over and over again, so listen to it. It will go on and on and on and never stop. And that's really cool. I like that a lot. If you wanted to create a bigger build, that's what it does. And yeah, so I really like these last two effects. I think it really adds another dimension to your DJing. I think that you can get so much out of that. I can't tell you how much I have wanted this in a controller, simply for the muscle memory practice of being able to practice at home with something that's less than $6,000. This unit is around $1,200 right now USD on March the 20th, 2018. The price may drop according to when you're watching this video. This is the first edition of the DDJ 1000. I think it's a great first step into what we are seeing Pioneer do as the ecosystem, kind of like what I've said earlier in some of my other videos about this unit. They are doing something very much like what Apple does with their units. Is they, whether you're on your iPhone or whether you're on your computer, you can still get iMessage. And the muscle memory is there, and that's what's happening here. Is you've got this wonderful effects channel, you've got the sound color effects, and then you've got the jog wheels and the pitch faders and everything like that, and that's going to get you ready so that when you step up on the stage when you're playing at Ultra, that you will be able to perform and flawlessly and seamlessly and know where everything is. And I would give this my highest recommendation for any DJ looking to either get into DJing, or if you're looking for a great alternative to a Nexus setup that's not $6,000 and won't break your bank. This is the unit for you. I'm highly impressed with what they've done here and where they're going. I think they're really trying to compete in the marketplace. And yeah, overall, very excited, very happy with what I'm seeing right here. Hey, thank you so much for stopping by. My name's Megiddo. Please like and subscribe, and if there's anything that you want to know about the Pioneer DDJ 1000, hit me up in the comments below and I'll be happy to answer you. See you next time. Peace.